What's up, guys? Rick here with my top 5 sleepers for this week's US Open. I've already done a full DFS preview, which is in your feeds right now, and there's plenty more content to come this week, including a live chat on YouTube Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to finalize all those questions, all those ideas, and really chat through this field one last time. For this video, I'll be going through my top 5 sleepers, which means guys a little bit further down the player pool or down the betting board outside of 50 to 1 to win this golf tournament, maybe $8,000 or cheaper on DraftKings to kind of provide some value or some guys that I think can pop a little bit relative to what their odds or their pricing is. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into this week's sleepers. Let's start with Matthew Fitzpatrick, who is 60 to 1 to win this golf tournament and $8,000 on DraftKings. And I'll be honest, Matthew Fitzpatrick is not normally the type of golfer that I'm interested in investing in because he does it vastly through the flat stick, right? That's where the vast majority of his strokes gained comes from, and that's usually not the type of golfer that I'm interested in, but I've started to look past how he's doing it and simply looking at what he is doing, and it's been remarkable. I mean, going back to the Arnold Palmer Invitational, he finished 9th. Bay Hill was the most difficult golf course on the PGA Tour last season. Then you look at what he did at the Memorial, Muirfield Village, one of the top 4 most difficult courses on the PGA Tour. He finished 3rd there. Then he finished 6th at Olympia Fields. Again, a top 4 most difficult golf course on the PGA Tour. He continues to show up on these difficult tracks with the ability to just get it done. And I don't really care how he does it. I don't care if he's a short game specialist. He hits a lot of fairways and he just gets it done at 60 to 1 and $8,000. Brendan Todd, that's right, 2-time winner on the PGA Tour last year, is 80 to 1 and $7,400 on DraftKings. And I know what happens a lot of times with guys like Brendan Todd. They immediately get written off at major championships because they don't hit the ball very far. Now, especially at major championships and especially at US Open venues and especially at Winged Foot, hitting the fairway, finding the short grass is going to be critical to your success. And while Brendan Todd does not hit it very far, he finds fairways. He's one of the most accurate drivers of the golf ball on the PGA Tour. And then you look at his results, and the results at more difficult golf courses make sense. He's another guy who has 3 top 25 finishes at Muirfield Village, where he finished 22nd, at the PGA Championship, Harding Park, where he finished 17th, and at Olympia Fields, the BMW Championship, where he finished 8th. And it's no surprise that he finds success on courses that require you to hit the short grass, which is exactly what Brendan Todd does. And he's also a great putter. So when you have these undulating greens at Winged Foot in certain situations like we've never seen before, I mean, you can get the comps to Augusta National, you can get the comps to some of these other places, but these are very difficult, challenging golf greens that we're going to see at Winged Foot, and you need to be able to putt well, and that's exactly what Brendan Todd does. So I think he's a unique combination of skill sets that provides a path to success at a really long number. Jason Kokrak is 110 to 1 to win this golf tournament. He has $6,800 on DraftKings. And when you start to get down into that sub 7K range or the outside the top 100 to 1 range, I mean, you really are throwing darts down here, but I think you could do much worse than Jason Kokrak, who's going to enter the US Open with 3 consecutive top 15 finishes, 3 weeks in a row. From the Wyndham Championship to the Northern Trust to the BMW Championship, his results got better each and every week, 15th, 13th, and 6th. And he has a skill set that is going to allow him to eat up a bigger portion of winged foot than other golfers in this field. He's 7th in driving distance. Jason Kokrak firmly plants himself as a bomber on the PGA Tour, hitting it 312 yards on average off the tee, and he's going to need to hit more fairways than he normally does. Let's be clear here. Jason Kokrak was 138th in driving accuracy last season, so he's going to need to hit a few more fairways to find success, but he might be able to muscle the ball out of the rough a little bit further than some of his peers might be able to. And hey, if he was straight and he was accurate, he wouldn't be $6,800. He wouldn't be 110 to 1. You just have a guy who can bomb it, which is always an advantage, who's had good results coming in, and I think this number provides a bit of value. Will Zalatoris is 160 to 1 to win the golf tournament and $6,700 on DraftKings. And he's making his mark on the Korn Ferry Tour at the moment right now. He has 10 consecutive top 20 finishes, which is a record on the Korn Ferry Tour. And he seems to finish in the top 5 each and every week. And I know what you're thinking. Really, a Korn Ferry Tour guy? Well, yeah, I mean, for all we talk about the margins being so thin between, the 125th golfer on the PGA Tour and the first golfer on the Korn Ferry Tour, and the success that we have seen from some of the guys that have been in the same position as Will Zalatoris. I mean, Scotty Scheffler a couple of years ago, Sung Jae Im a few years ago were the number one golfers essentially on the Korn Ferry Tour and in their point standings. And now Will Zalatoris is doing the same exact thing. So he is basically the odds-on favorite to be the PGA Tour Rookie of the Year when he gets to that point. And Korn Ferry Tour stats are not as complete as the PGA Tour, but this guy seems to rank highly in every single category. He leads the tour in greens and regulation. He, of course, leads the tour in scoring average. He leads the tour in ball striking. He is second in all-around ranking. I mean, it's just unbelievable stuff what he's doing, and he's going to be able to showcase that on the game's biggest stage this week at Winged Foot. Such a bright future for Will Zalatoris, and I think he can make noise more than what his salary and better than what his odds actually indicate. JT Poston is 400 to 1 and 6,100. And this is not necessarily a stand for JT Poston, but kind of looking at what his peers are and creating this discussion around, is the established tour pro in the US Open better than someone who might be coming from the European Tour, coming from the Korn Ferry Tour, maybe some of these guys from the Champions Tour? I mean, Steve Stricker is $6,200 and JT Poston is $6,100. $6,100 is nearly the minimum price. I mean, being priced with Ryo Ishikawa, Matt Jones, Lucas Herbert, Kurt Kitayama, Jim Herman. I mean, I think that JT Poston is at least better than his peers here, right? So this is not necessarily me thinking that JT Poston is going to have a great week, but creating that discussion around the pricing tiers and the differences between an established PGA Tour professional who is the 72nd ranked player in the world like JT Poston is, and some of these other guys who don't really even have PGA Tour status. Now, the good news for Poston specifically is he's an above average player off the tee. He hits more fairways than about 75% of the rest of the players on the PGA Tour. The only place that he loses strokes is on approach, which is unfortunate, since that is a very important aspect of any golf tournament. But he's pretty good around the greens, right? 67th around the greens on tour last season and 14th in strokes gained putting. And when you look at a major championship, short game is going to come into play. Getting up and down to save par at Winged Foot is going to be critical. So you lump all of that together and you look at a guy who's nearly the min price that might allow you to unlock some of those studs at the top of your fantasy lineups. And I don't think JT Poston can be overlooked this week. There you go, my top 5 sleepers for this week's US Open. Expect a bunch of carnage out there at Winged Foot this week. Fingers crossed that you and I are able to avoid it. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like. Tweet me at RickRunGood or leave a comment below. Best of luck. Talk to you soon.